Now look, Tom, Prince Harry made his first public appearance since his disastrous High Court appearance at his phone hacking trial. The Duke was seen at the Warrior Games in San Diego to support US Army veterans, but once again, wife Meghan, nowhere. In addition to his London court wrangle, Meghan was also notably absent, of course, from the King's coronation, MIA, during the promotion of his awful tell-all memoir, Spare. So, Tom, what are you hearing about this? Why is Meghan backing away so purposefully from all of these PR disasters and actually not saying to her husband, this isn't working, you know, pivot, you're making a fool of yourself, let's take a different strategy? What, does she want him to be weak? Does she want him to be ruined?
Well, she hasn't really appeared in person and talked since the whole year. I mean, that is what's extraordinary. It's silent Meghan now, having set him up. But I took from those pictures of him in San Diego this week, here's a man who, when he was in London, was really angry. And I think his court appearance, as disastrous as it was, he doesn't realise how bad it was. There was a cathartic moment. But the truth is that they have one major problem coming up after another now in rapid succession. First of all, today, he'll hear whether his visa application is going to be made public. The court will decide.
This is in the US.
This is the new thing today. Secondly, Netflix has not announced in any way that the Invictus series is going to be broadcast this year. That could be a problem for them. No money there. Spotify have cancelled their contract. A money problem again. And there's another very interesting development tonight in America. The Beast newspaper revealed that when Meghan complained, when they arrived in America from Canada in 2021, they went to stay in Tyler Perry's compound in California, LA. And she complained about the drones flying over, looking for Archie. And in the Netflix series, she says, aren't they, these people are just terrible, what the lengths they'll go to invade our privacy. Well, Tom Sykes reveals today that he was tipped off.
All right, Patriots, let's start with the big question. Where the heck is Meghan Markle? Prince Harry has been everywhere lately. In the UK for his phone hacking court case, which was a disaster, by the way. At the Warrior Games in San Diego supporting veterans. Even promoting his memoir, Spare, which bombed. And yet, no Meghan. No appearances, no statements, no damage control. Just radio silence. Now that's not normal. This is the same Meghan Markle who never passes up a PR opportunity. She spent years inserting herself into every narrative, so why is she backing away now?
About that drone attack, and that he got from the Los Angeles Police Department under FOIA a revelation that in fact Meghan tipped the police off, tipped the drone, the paparazzi off, where she could be found. She wanted her privacy invaded, which to us now doesn't seem that shocking because we've seen them invading their own privacy for years now. But the idea that within days of arriving in America for their privacy, she was literally tipping off the paps where to find her, it just shows that she's on a different planet to all of us. Her agenda is by now so obscure, we can't even say, except that she's got a puppet, and the puppet is Harry. And Harry is just, I think, out of his depth. He has no idea anymore what he's being played at. He has no idea the game that he's actually engaged in. And it can only end in tragedy.
Dan Wootton asks the same thing. Is Meghan distancing herself from Harry's failures? Is she positioning herself as the strong, independent woman for a post-Harry life? Or does she just see Harry as a lost cause? Patriots, we've seen this before. Meghan has a pattern. When people are no longer useful to her, she moves on. And right now, Harry is starting to look like dead weight. This is huge, folks. We all know that Meghan and Harry's entire brand has been built on their Netflix and Spotify deals. Remember that $100 million Netflix contract? Well, guess what? Their big Invictus documentary still doesn't have a release date. And you know what that means. Netflix is nervous. Then there's Spotify, which already canceled their deal after their podcast flopped. The Sussexes are running out of cash cows and Hollywood is starting to back away. This is what happens when you don't produce anything of real value.
I mean, that's an extraordinary revelation. What would, I think, be so helpful, though, and this is why I'm very suspicious why Meghan hasn't done this, is for her to actually have an honest conversation with her husband and say, look, Harry, your mum used the media a lot. We all know that. She regularly tipped off photographers. She had her favourite journalists who she spoke to regularly. You know, Richard Kay, editor-at-large at the Daily Mail, was one of her last ever phone calls back in 1997. And also, Harry, when I was famous, when I was desperate for publicity, I used to tip off paparazzi photographers all the time and leak stories about myself to newspapers in order to get headlines, because the problem is, Tom, he has such a warped view of the relationship between celebrities and royals and the media, including his own mother. And it's leading him on a campaign that I believe is deranged.
Well, it's deranged, but you've got to look back at it, Dan, because you've got to look at what my book revealed about her. She is a scheming woman.
Revenge.
She's always been plotting. She's always been looking how she can use people for her own benefit.
Well, that's why I wonder if she wants Harry to be weak, you see.
But it's not that she wants him to be weak. She probably no longer sees his purpose.
Harry and Meghan thought they could cash in on royal drama forever, but now people are tuning out. And what does that mean for their marriage? Well, let's just say things get a lot tougher when the money dries up. All right, Patriots, this next part is absolutely mind-blowing. Do you remember when Meghan and Harry moved to America and claimed they were being harassed by paparazzi? They even said drones were flying over Tyler Perry's mansion trying to get photos of Archie. Well, guess what? According to the Daily Beast, Meghan tipped off the paparazzi herself. Yes, you heard that right. While she was crying victim, she was allegedly telling the photographers exactly where to find her. Now, this isn't even shocking anymore because we've seen this pattern over and over again. Meghan plays the victim card while behind the scenes she's the one setting it all up. And this isn't just speculation, we've seen this before. Her staged car chase in NYC that the NYPD completely debunked. The Netflix documentary where they use stock footage to fake paparazzi harassment. That infamous Oprah interview, full of exaggerated and misleading claims. This is what she does. And Tom Bower's calling it out for what it is.
She doesn't see what he can still do for her because he's done everything. He's given her the title. He's given her fame. What is the next step? And the terrible tragedy which is now unfolding is she dumped her father. She dumped her first husband. She dumped the boyfriend in Canada. She dumps people who aren't in any use to her. Is she going to dump Harry now? Is what we're seeing now the slow motion of Meghan Part 9 as she attempts the next step in her extraordinary career?
Think?
I just don't know, because it's so heartless to treat this fellow like this. And I can't see how she could really treat him so appallingly, the father of her children. But her absence from everything is by now seeming pretty suspicious. Her silence since Christmas, really, before Christmas, is really pretty odd. And there's got to be a reason. My suspicion is that she's plotting. I've always said she's going to do something big. We've been saying that now for weeks, so we've still got to wait to see what the next stage is.
This right here, Patriots, is the hard truth. Tom Bower nails it. Meghan is playing a game that even Harry doesn't understand. He says Harry is completely out of his depth, has no idea what's really happening, and is just being used. And here's the real tragedy. This can only end one way, with Harry broken, isolated, and discarded. And honestly, we saw this coming. Meghan never sticks around when things get tough. She's always moving on to the next opportunity. And if Hollywood and the media turn on them completely, and when that happens, Harry will be left with nothing. No family, no money, no support, nothing. Meghan is disappearing from Harry's life. No more PR stunts, no more hand-holding. She's already planning her next move. The Sussexes' finances are collapsing. Netflix is getting nervous, Spotify dropped them, and Hollywood doesn't care anymore. The paparazzi victim act was all staged. Meghan is not a victim, she's the one pulling the strings. Harry is just a pawn in Meghan's game. And when she's done with him, she'll leave him behind. This, Patriots, is the beginning of the end for the Meghan and Harry empire. What do you think, Patriots? Is Meghan preparing to dump Harry? Or is she just waiting for the perfect moment? Let me know in the comments.